Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Monday night call. Rochelle and Matt Osborne.
Good evening.
Emerald Ambassador and John Maxwell Coach. And tonight we are going to be sharing with you about mindset. Mindset is huge. So what is mindset? How is mindset relevant in our businesses? How can we apply it to our businesses? And how do we really understand what the power behind positive thinking is and positive mindset can be, how powerful that is. So mindset, I'm going to read to you the definition of mindset. Mindset is a set of beliefs or way of thinking that determines behavior, outlook, and attitude. So that's kind of just a broad overview, a big definition of it. And so many people say that they want to, they say, change your mindset. Oh, we just need to change your mindset. Oh, you just need a positive mindset. Well, what does that really mean? So we're going to dive into that tonight, and we're going to talk about all of those things. So on that note, do you guys think that mindset is important? Do you think it's important?
I think mindset's really important. But then again, I get to coach people all the time on it, and I see the power of mindset. I also can see how it can be really, really difficult to wrap your head around what it means to change your mindset. We hear that so many times about changing your mindset, and we don't really take time to explain to people, what does that mean? That seems like a very arduous task if you don't know how to do it. Is it just, okay, I'm just going to think more positive. I'm going to just, I'm going to fake it, till I make it, so to speak. So tonight, I'm going to talk to you very briefly about understanding your mind as far as your conscious and your subconscious mind, and really understanding how the two work as a concerted effort to create what is known as your mindset. And then the importance of, once you understand that, how do you raise your conscious awareness to a point where you control what you think? You either control your mind or your mind will control you, period.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like I said before, I had the privilege of coaching on this as a leadership and team development coach. Mindset plays a huge role in this. And so I get the privilege of talking about this on a regular basis. And I'm excited to share it with all 75 plus of you tonight. So, the first thing you need to understand about mindset when we talk about understanding it is, if you want to master performance in any aspect of your life, you must first master your mind. I think that's important that people understand that. You're not going to master anything that you're doing in your businesses or your personal life. You're not going to master anything that you do in terms of performance until you learn to first master your mind. So your mind consists of two key functions, your two functional areas. And that's your conscious and your subconscious mind. So tonight I just want to share very briefly with you some characteristics of both so that you learn to understand that. Your conscious mind is your thinking mind. This is where we talk about people's IQ. This is your thinking mind. It's responsible for thinking about improvements. So, you're actively thinking about something that's going on around you. You're trying to determine how you're going to interact with that thought or idea. It is not responsible, though, for actually achieving the improvement. And this is where so many people, I think, struggle, because they think, well, if I just tell myself that I'm going to change this, it'll happen. And they struggle, and they go for a couple days or a couple weeks, and then they fall off. How many folks have you heard about in your own businesses that do this with the products? It's the same concept. It's responsible for thinking about improvement, but it's not responsible for actually achieving it. The other aspect I wanted to share with you about conscious mind is, whenever you're confronted with an idea or a choice, your conscious mind has three things it can do. It can accept it, it can reject it, or it can ignore it altogether. It gets a choice. You're consciously making a choice, so that makes sense. So it can accept, reject, or ignore. And I want you to remember I just said that, because we're going to come back to something really key to that here shortly. When we talk about the importance of the conscious mind and try to just kind of give you, speak to some of the greens out there a little bit here for a minute, the conscious mind has a processing speed. If you think about a computer, it has a processing speed of about 2,000 bits per second. And the impulses in your conscious mind travel at a speed of 100 to 150 miles per hour. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The only issue with, if you will, with the conscious mind is the logical mind, as it speaks to its name, is devoid of any feeling or emotion. It is a rational thinking mind. It only weighs with what it sees right in front of it. It doesn't weigh emotion or anything like that into it. So that's a little bit about your conscious mind. I'm going to share some ideas about the subconscious mind with you. So the subconscious mind is known as your emotional mind. This is where your emotional quotient, which is the new measuring tool. We used to measure people in terms of their intelligence by IQ. And actually, there's been a really big shift in how we do that now. And we've shifted to this EQ, or emotional quotient, because what we've realized is that emotional quotient is so much more important as a determinant to people's success and performance than IQ ever was. So we've shifted. There's been a shift now in how we measure people's ability to perform and be successful. And that's moved to the emotional quotient piece of this. The subconscious mind houses your self-image and how you feel and react to your life. It is the emotion and feeling hub of your body. It has no situational intelligence. So where your logic mind was weighing situational intelligence, it has no situational intelligence. It can only accept the decision of your conscious mind. I told you that your conscious mind can accept, reject, or ignore an idea or a thought. But whatever your conscious mind decides, your subconscious mind is bound to action on that decision. It doesn't get a say-so. It doesn't get a vote. Mm-hmm. It's basically a programmed response at that point. So that's important. As we start talking about negative self-talk, and I'm going to speak about that a little bit, but as we start to tell ourselves things like, I can't do that. I'm not good at that. I don't have time for that. That's just not my comfort area. We're consciously telling ourselves these things, and our subconscious mind has to believe and act on what we're telling ourselves. That's huge when we talk about mindset. Mm-hmm. So the subconscious mind runs all the complex systems in your body. If you think about it, the amount of effort and energy, if you had to actually just move your pinky finger and you had to be consciously aware of how you did every impulse or action on how that happened, it would take you to move your pinky finger would probably take you about a 24-hour period just to get your pinky finger to move, just to control the nerve impulses and the ability to do that. But our conscious mind allows us to do that in fractions of seconds. And here's why. Because it has a processing speed where the conscious mind had a processing speed of 2,000 bits per second. The subconscious mind has a processing speed of 4 billion bits per second. And impulses, instead of traveling at the 100 to 150 mile an hour range that it did in the conscious mind, an impulse or thought travels at 100,000 miles per hour. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. But it makes sense when you think about everything that your subconscious mind controls and has to deal with. Mm-hmm. Now, the subconscious mind knows no limits other than those that we self-impose on it through our conscious decision to accept, reject, or ignore anything we decide to do or not. So it has no limitation. It is limitless in its potential to achieve performance. That's where the people who are truly successful in whatever they endeavor to do, they have mastered this relationship between their conscious and their subconscious mind in such a way that they're able to take the lid off of their subconscious mind and tap into it in such a way that they can raise their level of their potential, if you will. Mm-hmm. So, when we understand the conscious and the subconscious mind and kind of how they interact. But let me kind of describe to you what about 95% of our population in this world today experiences as mental mediocrity. And I call this the cycle of mental mediocrity for that reason. And it goes something like this. First and foremost, you are faced with an idea or a situation, and you choose your thoughts. You choose how you accept, reject, or ignore what you're confronted with. That impulse is transmitted to your subconscious mind, and that triggers within your subconscious mind the pre-programmed response to that thought. So I am afraid. That's not something I do. I trigger a fear response as a result of that. That fear response creates a apprehensiveness and withdrawal and overwhelmed feeling and a desire to run as fast and as far away as I can from that uncomfortable situation. Mm-hmm. Welcome to your subconscious mind. It controls the emotions and Not only that, it controls the actions. It controls the actions and functions of your body. So it will literally move you to action against or for whatever you've consciously decided to do. So as it creates those feelings are expressed by the subconscious mind as behaviors and actions through your body. These actions and behaviors make up our concept that we call our attitude. This attitude is the primary cause of all of our results in our lives. So when they say adjust your attitude, get a positive attitude, it sounds easy in theory, but a lot harder unless you understand the relationship between the conscious and subconscious mind and controlling that. And then at the end of this cycle, I'm going to call it a cycle for a reason, you'll understand that in a second. We find ourselves, our attitude is the primary cause of our results, and we find ourselves not happy with the results. And we start to build these things called self-limiting beliefs. And we hear about this all the time. It usually starts when we're children. A lot of our self-limiting beliefs are imposed on our mind. At the time, up until the age of about 5 to 6, our subconscious mind is wide open for programming. And this is a good thing or a bad thing, depending on our experiences and exposures in our lives, our interactions, our relationships, the things that people say to us continually. They say, you'll never amount to anything. You're not able to do that. You don't come from the right walk of life. You can't do that. You need to play the cards that you're dealt. And they're going to feed into this programming. And then this programming becomes what we call self-limiting beliefs, the things that we believe about ourselves, right, wrong, or indifferent. These are wired into our programming and our subconscious mind. And this is a vicious cycle. It's a reoccurring cycle. So we're not happy with the results, and we start to build on self-limiting beliefs. And then we go right back to the top of this thing where we choose our thoughts. So we build on our self-limiting beliefs. We begin to get down on ourselves again, and we repeat this cycle. Your conscious and your subconscious mind will collaborate to create your results in life, good or bad, period. It is a collaborative relationship. So when we recognize that, we can recognize how we break this cycle. So breaking the cycle, this cycle of mental mediocrity happens in a very specific way. The first thing that we do is it can only happen by raising our conscious awareness. So we have to become aware of what we say to ourselves, how we think, and that comes through reflection. I use that word a lot when I talk to coaching clients. I use that word a lot when I talk to my mastermind groups. We have to raise our conscious awareness of what do I say to myself, and what emotion or reaction or behavior does that elicit accordingly? Is this fear a healthy fear, or is it an unhealthy fear? The fear in your body is programmed in there for a reason. It was instilled in us as a response to protect us. But more times than not, our subconscious mind will play to that fear and keep us in our mediocrity zone. Unless we recognize it and say, okay, here's fear. Why am I feeling that way? Well, am I feeling that way because it's something I need to protect myself from in a healthy way, like not putting my hand on a hot stove or not driving 90 miles an hour into oncoming traffic? Or is this an unhealthy fear that is meant to hold me back and keep me in my comfort zone and in that zone of mediocrity, where 95% of the population, I'm going to share some numbers with you in a second, but 95% of our population today exists in that zone of mediocrity. So, as you're breaking this cycle, as you become more consciously aware, it improves the quality of your thoughts, which allows you to reconnect with your emotional and spiritual intelligence within the subconscious mind. I'm literally consciously tapping in to my subconscious programming. And when I can do that, I can start to change my programming by speaking into my programming, no longer self-limiting beliefs, but truth. I don't have to play the deck of cards that I've been dealt. I can throw it back on the table and say, deal me a new hand. I don't have to believe that I can't do the things that people have told me that I can't do. I don't have to believe things like I'm not good at getting on the phone calls with people and reaching out to them and having a one-on-one conversation. I don't have to believe that network marketing isn't for me. I don't have to believe that I'm incapable of growing a team bigger than what I have right now. I don't have to believe those things because I can get in and change that programming now because I'm consciously aware of what's happening around me and how I'm controlling that programming within my subconscious mind. This allows us to respond and consciously participate, and react in a manner that drives our desired outcomes within our subconscious mind. So I'm now literally the active control. I'm no longer a participant on the train. I'm driving the train now for my performance and my results. And so it's important that we understand this, because here's a number I share with a lot of people, and I think it's important that we understand this. 2% of our population, 2% actually think in this way. 2% have truly mastered at any given time what this means to be consciously aware and to control your subconscious programming. 3% think they've got it down, and the other 95%, they're just consciously, they're consciously unconscious. They're just along for the ride. They're on the train as a participant, and they continually find themselves in a fixed mindset as opposed to a growth mindset, which is what Rochelle's going to talk to you a little bit about now.
I am. I thought I was talking about something else here.
I'm sorry.
So when he talked about telling ourselves those negative things, first of all, what time of year is it? It's Thanksgiving time. So it's one of those times of year where we're constantly thinking about all of the wonderful things, and we're thankful for this and we're thankful for that, which we should be thankful all the time. But it's just kind of at the forefront of our mind right now. So we need to tell ourselves positive things. We need to focus on the blessings that we have in our lives. We talk so much about positive affirmations and how important those are. And those are so, so important, because when we tell our things, all of the things that Matt was saying, all those examples, those are things that are negative. So I have my list of positive affirmations right here. And I was just going to read a couple of them to you. And some of them, I've added to, but this was when I first started. I just wrote some of these things down that Fallon told me to do. And I used some of hers because I didn't know. I'm like, what do I do? So I just used some of hers. And some of the things that she said that I turned into mine were, I have the fastest growing team in Plexus. That's one of the things that she always said. I have products and an opportunity that people are excited to learn about. I am going to be Emerald by July so I could go to Hawaii in September. I literally wrote that down, and don't you know I hit that on July 31st. Everyone on my team is going to want to share these products with their friends and family because they're so amazing. Everyone is desperate for this opportunity. I am a diamond with Plexus. These products are super affordable. I am a rock star. I have amazing leaders on my team. And so the list just goes on and on. But we need to be telling ourselves these positive things. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Get the Bible out and write down some Bible verses. I have a lot of them posted around my desk and my kitchen and my laundry room. And I started doing that a long while ago when Matt was still in the Army and he was deployed a lot. And it was like, oh my gosh, so difficult sometimes. But if we focus on the negatives, if I focused all the time on how my husband was gone and how am I going to deal with this, and oh my gosh, life is so hard and I just can't do this, then that's what it's going to be. We're not going to be able to do it, and it's going to be hard, and that's what we're telling ourselves. Versus if we tell ourselves, I can do this. This is making us stronger as a couple. It's putting us together more than when he does come home. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Blah blah blah. All the different things. And so, anyways, so positive affirmations. So I wanted you to tell them about the door closing and opening.
Yes. So Rochelle, speaking about positive affirmations, and this is so important. So remember, I told you that you want to raise your conscious awareness. And in a way to do that is to really become aware of what you say to yourself and how you speak that into your subconscious mind for programming. So, there are a couple times in a day where the door to your subconscious mind is open, or at least cracked. And it's most prone to these words of affirmation that we speak to ourselves. It's also most open to the idea of programming a definitive purpose in there, like I'm going to grow my team to a diamond team. And that is when you first wake up in the morning, as you're coming out of sleep and you're sitting there in bed before you get up and start engaging your mind in other things, and then right before you turn out the light to go to bed at night. Those are the 2 points at which your subconscious mind is most prone to programming. So what you do, is right before when you first wake up, right before you go to bed, you say to yourself these positive affirmations. If you know that you're afraid to reach out to new people on the phone and you've been hiding behind passive marketing as opposed to active marketing in your businesses, this is the opportunity to say, I am good at active marketing. I am good at talking to people.
I love to talk on the phone.
I connect with people. I know it sounds silly when you say this to yourself the first couple of times, but something amazing is going to start happening as you say this. And this is also, like I said, the same time where you want to speak to your definitive purpose in your business. So you say things like, I will grow my team to an emerald team by July 31st of 2017. And I'm willing to do these things to get there. And you write that down on an index card along with your positive affirmations. And you speak those things to yourself at those 2 points every morning and every night before you go to bed. And something amazing is going to start happening within the programming in your subconscious mind. You're going to start to believe it.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, your actions, your attitudes, and your behaviors are going to start aligning to that belief.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is you don't want to just write these down. Writing them down is important, but you also want to say them out loud to yourself.
Yes.
Because, hang on, I got to get my notes here. Researchers tell us that we remember 10% of what we hear, 50% of what we see, 70% of what we say, and 90% of what we hear, see, say, and do. This is why second graders and kindergartners, first graders have to have phonics lessons repeated to them 100 million times. And this is why they go over flashcards over and over and over again, because we're repeating it. So, we go over our spelling list, say it, spell it, say it. It's like, okay, Lauren, get into the schoolroom, write down your lesson, write down your spelling words, and don't just write them down. Make sure you're spelling them out loud while you're writing them down. You're going to remember it better. Oh, mom, but it really does help. It helps you to remember it. So say your positive affirmations out loud to yourself, right? You've written them down. You're reading them out loud to yourself, and you're doing it at the time that Matt said, right before you go to sleep and right as you're waking up. So that is really, really important. And there's a reason why these books that they have out are so popular. The Magic of Thinking Big and The Power of Positive Thinking and What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, all of these kinds of things. No different in childbirth. If we tell ourselves negative things like, I can't do this and I'm going to die. I always use childbirth as an example. It's like my favorite example. We've had
Can't imagine why.
But, if you tell yourself, I can do this, your mind is so powerful. You can stall your labor by telling yourself negative things. Or if somebody comes into your room, a nurse or whoever, and they're telling you, oh, you want an epidural or whatever. No, I don't want an epidural. I'm doing this natural. Thank you. You don't want those things going into your mind. You got to keep what you want at the forefront of your mind. So what are you feeding your mind? What kind of mind food are you putting into your brain every day? Same thing with the TV shows that we watch, the books that we read. If we're putting negative things in and we're watching all these whatever movies that don't make us feel good, that's what's going to come out, because that's what's going into our eyes and into our ears and into our brains, and then that's what is going to come out of our lips. And that's why it is so important with us as parents. We are very selective and protective of what we let our children watch on TV. And it's such a huge thing. Our minds, everything starts in the mind. Everything.
Absolutely.
So definitely keep those positive things at the forefront.
Can I say something real quick too?
Yeah.
So if you're really working on this and this is something you struggle with, I'm going to give you a challenge tonight too, to turn off the TV, turn off the news specifically. So negativity sells. We have to understand that. Negativity sells because it gives that 95% I talked about, it gives them an excuse to feel better about themselves. Let's just be plain and simple. They can watch the news and say, wow, my life is not nearly as bad. Look at their life. Turn that stuff off. We don't measure ourselves against mediocrity. We measure ourselves against the success that we've defined for our lives. So stop measuring yourself against that mediocrity. Turn that stuff off. Surround yourself with positive, and positive is what's going to come out. And that's not just lip service or cliche. That is the truth. We've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, exactly. So with our businesses, because this is not just for our businesses, this is for our life, which is what I say all the time about our book clubs that we do on Thursday nights, our team calls. This is about our lives. This is not just about our Plexus businesses. This is about being a better mom, a better wife, a better husband, a better person. So we want to share with you a screenshot here of having a growth mindset, the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. So Matt's going to pull this up for me because he's my techie guy. Can y'all see that? I need to see some thumbs up or something. Nicole Spellman, I can see you. Can you see that?
Yep. Okay.
All right. So I don't need to read all of this to you guys. And thankfully, this is being recorded, so you guys can watch the recording and pause it and take a picture of it and do whatever you want to do with it. But you can see the difference here between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Growth mindset is in green because this is like, we're going forward, we're going places. A fixed mindset is red. It's a stop sign. It's holding us back.
Yep.
It's negative. So don't go there with the fixed mindset. But you can see some of the examples here. I avoid challenges, I get defensive, and I give up easily on the fixed mindset, versus I embrace challenges and I persist when things get tough. When things get tough, I think is what it's supposed to say, but it says though. Anyways, typo. There's a few typos in here. Anyways, so definitely take a look at this and just really apply it. Like I say, it goes to all areas of our life. What are we feeding our minds?
Mm-hmm.
What are we putting into our hearts? What are we putting into our brains? What are we reading? What are we focusing on? Just all of that good stuff.
Focus, yeah, and fixed mindset here, I think it's important. So if you take anything away from this slide, it's this. First off, this is based on some really awesome, world-renowned study here in terms of, this really kind of delved into this idea of that we're not in a fixed mindset. Most people, 95%, operate in fixed mindset. That is, they believe that they are set in a mold at birth. That from a young age, their character, personality, potential, and intelligence are somehow, set into a mold. And once that mold is cast and hardened, it cannot be broken. It cannot be changed. And in reality, like I said, 95% of people, this is how they see themselves. And think about it. You don't have to look very far in your own lives and the people that you interact with on a daily basis to realize just how true this is. Mm-hmm. What we are trying to get to is this idea of a growth mindset, which says, that mold that's been cast is made to be broken every day. Mm-hmm. I'm going to break that mold every day by being better than I was yesterday. I'm going to ask myself at the end of the day, what did I accomplish today? How am I different today at the end of the day than I was when I started this day? How am I better than I was when I started? What have I done to push myself? And what that does is that starts to change your mindset, to challenge you to not be afraid of new things, to look at growth as intentional, to look at, instead of seeing failure, you see opportunity and growth. And when you can start to see those things, I'm going to tell you right now, in your businesses and whatever you endeavor to do, you're going to see this idea of exponential or explosive growth happening in your lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you have that growth mindset, you can learn. You say things like, I can learn anything I want. When I'm frustrated, I persevere. When I fail, I learn. When, I can try harder. I can do better. Fixed mindsets is, like I say, it's more negative. You feel threatened. You feel like a failure. All of those things. So yes, definitely. But yeah, you can. I'm
going to stop sharing.
Share. Yes.
It'll be in the recording, I promise.
That's just one example. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there. You can Google it. There's all kinds of stuff on growth and fixed mindset. And we'll do a post in Pink Power about it too. But definitely have enjoyed being on here with you guys tonight and reading all the comments. Negativity is never a good thing. Don't focus on the negatives. Focus on the positives always. Plus, who wants to be around negative people? I mean, I do not like being around negative people. I love being around happy, sweet, positive people that are smiling and that love the Lord and that love people. And I don't want to be around a bunch of Eeyores and people that are just Debbie Downers and bring me down, So I like being around positive, happy people. And so Plexus people, yeah, that's right. Us Plexus people, we're happy. We got our happy pills.
That's right.
So anyways, guys, but thanks so much for joining us tonight. We have loved it all. And we will see you guys next week, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you. Be positive. Put it to use.
Good night.